going into the season that Clemson had a lot of firepower returning on offense, and we thought the defense might take a while to gel. Are they ahead of schedule? I mean, look at it.
Yeah, I think what was very interesting about the defense is way back even in June, Coach Sweeney said this is the best back seven I've ever had. And I saw a bunch of people, kind of roll their eyes, laugh, like, yeah, sure, whatever. Now they're leading the country in so many different categories. So you see that he was more than right, and that this is a dominant team and a dominant defense that really is just growing into their own. And so when you see what they lost to still have the production and just different ways, the way that they're doing it, coming from all kinds of angles, different levels, it's been very impressive to see.
How about Trevor? He started off slow. He may be playing better than anybody in the country.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's the best quarterback in the country when you see what he's able to do, the throws that he's able to make. I mean, it's NFL throws left and right. EJ's going to do an analysis tape on him tomorrow, and he had to cut back plays. He has so many good plays of what he's doing. He's like, I can't run this. There's 25 plays here. I got to get down to 4. So when you look at that and you see what he's been able to do, of course there was the early struggles, and I think that was more so, what can I get away with? I mean, when you have such a great season a year ago, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and you look around you got 6'4", 6'5" wide receivers who just throw it up and they can go get it. I think that he was kind of learning what can I get away with, and now you see hasn't made a mistake since that Louisville game and is just really looking sharp.
A couple of weeks ago, I think I heard you say that Perkins had been inconsistent. You feel he's no longer inconsistent, or what inconsistencies did you see?
I think this November has been spectacular, what he's been able to do, to go undefeated with Virginia the first time since, I think, the 50s in the month of November, when football matters the most. And that's what you want to see from your leader. So to have a consistent November, hopefully roll that over to this December, is going to be big time. But what you saw early was guys forcing him to throw. You saw against Miami and Louisville, he threw the ball 40 times, was right at or right under 50%, and just the way he would throw the ball in those games, I think that's the reason that you lose those. So when you see how he was playing then to now, I mean, he's playing like Superman, and he's going to need to.
The question about the Virginia team has been their O-line, among other things. What can you say about that?
Yeah, again, another inconsistency, and I think that's been throughout the entire ACC. There's been a lot of bad offensive line play. You see Syracuse sacked over 40 times, Miami sacked a bunch, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida State. It's just been a lot of missing, matching guys, having different lineups. It's hard to build that continuity when you have to do something of that nature. And at the end of the day, when you're just outmatched, it's a tough thing to do. And hopefully a mobile quarterback helps you out, but they're going to have a big challenge this Saturday.
From your vantage point, now part of the national media, what did you make of what Dabo said on Saturday after the Palmetto Bowl, and kind of what's come out afterwards of the disrespect of the league and his team?
I think that Coach Sweeney does a fantastic job of pulling things out at the right time. I think that he holds on to things that he sees throughout the entire season, maybe even things that were said in preseason. And he thought that was the right time to bring it out. When you look at this Clemson team, what they were able to do against South Carolina, I mean, total domination there. And then you have a Georgia team that loses to them. And again, the next week, all that we heard about was how can Georgia still be in the playoffs? So he was waiting on that for a long time, and I think he got his opportunity and brought it up. So when he feels that his team is being discounted, discredited for this historical run that they're on, and feel any type of disrespect, he's going to step up and stand up for those guys. And I think the fire that we're going to see from them because of that is going to be fantastic.
You guys are obviously hyper local when it comes to the ACC, but when you're watching other networks talk about the league and other concepts, because they have their own focuses, what are you gauging from? How much do you know is showmanship? How much do you think is the actual belief that's out there?
I think you can take all that with a grain of salt. You have to understand where the message is coming from and know that at the end of the day, a certain network has their conference that they have to boost up, just like we do. Coach Sweeney really said it best, and that's their job, just like it is our job. So, we're going to fight tooth and nail for our conference and point out all the good things about it. We'll talk about the bad as well, but try to be as real as we can with that.
Dabo says you deserve to be on the other networks.
I agree with them. Let's go. I think that it was cool, number one, to see that. I've got to get him his check for saying that and throwing my name out there. But it would be good, to have somebody who is a quote-unquote expert on the conference, on even the school, who knows more about it other than, someone who does not represent either of those entities at all. So I think it would be nice for the ACC, whether it was EJ, myself, Coach, anybody, just to, when you talk about that conference, talk to the guys that look at it every single day.
Feinbaum said that Dabo is a whiner, the biggest whiner he knows. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought he handled it well. At the end of the day, Coach Sweeney commended him doing his job well. That's what he's there for, to get people's attention, to spark conversation. And I thought Coach Sweeney did a great job of the way he handled it.
Did you ever play against Virginia?
I did in 2013. Somebody helped me out.
Yes.
At Virginia. I think it was 50-something to 13, so 59-10. So it was a different Virginia team.
But there are players now who will go an entire career without playing against a certain team.
Right.
What do you think about that? I guess there's really no way around it.
No, I think it does kind of stink when you look at not having to play each other, going years, without competing against them. I would love to see some type of solution. Don't know how or what they can do there. That's way above my pay grade, but you're absolutely right. I would love to see more of a mix and play each other either every other year, 3 years, but to go a whole career and not even have to go against somebody, I think is kind of strange.
You've been in that locker room with Dabo. How good is he kind of playing on that kind of stuff and like you said, saving things? And does he do that with the team as much as he does it with the media?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a master manipulator, but the good thing is he doesn't have to create that. People kind of are gift wrapping and hand it to him. It was almost funny, the amnesia that the national media seemed to have about it. Wasn't a couple of weeks ago that everybody was discounting Clemson. All we heard was this isn't a playoff team this year. Last year's wins don't matter anymore. Now all of a sudden they're the greatest team ever. So I think it's interesting that all offseason all I heard was, how does Dabo keep playing this underdog card? And all I would say is, well, you give it to him. You let him do it. So I think that's kind of the case. And again, he's been a underdog his whole life. That's what he's had to do. He's comfortable in that position. And to create that chip on his shoulder is something that he's very comfortable with, that he can directly give to those guys. And, he's going to do it. Anything that he can use in the media to give them more juice, he's going to.
How have you seen teams respond when you were on them, when you would do that kind of stuff? Is there anything that sticks out to you that kind of helps?
Well, I think that there is, those times where, you're playing a quote-unquote lesser opponent and he's trying to create this chip and you're like, okay, like we get it. We're better than them. But at the end of the day, I think that when he can pull a message and turn it into his own message, and that gets guys fired up. And we don't necessarily watch every show, every article that's printed. We don't get to see that. So when he can find it or he can put his way on it, I think that's been a real strength of what this team can do.
Eric, Dabo mentioned earlier this week what part Taj Boyd played in creating the foundation that he has since built upon. You were a teammate of Taj's. What did he bring to the program?
Yeah, I think when you look at Coach's first quarterback ever that he was able to bring in, needed a guy and went and found Taj. Taj, a student athlete that could have went a multitude of places, maybe anywhere in the country, and how good he was in high school from the Virginia Beach area where EJ's from. So you see the talent that is there, and I think that really helped open up a pipeline there as well. So there's no doubt that what Taj Boyd did laid down the foundation for what we're seeing right now from the Clemson Tigers and just the culture, the winning, and the expectation of greatness. So he was a fierce competitor, a guy that would go out every single game and think that he could win, and that's kind of where they are right now.
Do you stay in touch with him at all?
Yeah, we see him from time to time in Clemson and what he's doing there, so always great when we run into him. Yeah.
When you see the network take off in this first year, and I know it's only really been a couple months, what's the potential you see for its growth and the excitement you all have around there when you realize what this thing's becoming?
Yeah, just to see kind of what other networks have done, where they are in 5 years, especially with the SEC network, and seeing the changes, drastic changes. So I think you always have to keep an open mind, thinking about how can we get better, see if that's an addition of shows, personnel, coverage, so I definitely expect that. But of course, with this being year one, you kind of figure out what works, what doesn't. So really excited to see the growth, like you said, of this network, see who comes about from it, because, man, it's been a cool journey that this conference has deserved for a long time. So happy that, ESPN took their time and wanted to make it right, as long with the ACC, and to get it to where it was a point that it ran seamlessly, and I think that's what they accomplished.
Eric, at 15, it was your first time getting to play in this game. What do you remember about it, and can you understand a little bit maybe what the Virginia players are going through, being that this is their first time?
Yeah, just the excitement levels, knowing that you are representing your side of the conference. I remember it being freezing cold that game, going against North Carolina, one-loss team that had a lot of national prowess and expectations as well. So very similar. I think that it was, at that time, it was two people who hadn't been there for a while. So being able to compete, it was that newness for both. So when you look at Virginia and what they're going against in a team that's been here 5 straight times is absolutely remarkable. You just got to take it a day at a time, play at a time. Don't be looking too far ahead, and definitely don't look backward. You just got to keep moving on, whatever happens. But awesome for them for finally making it here. What Bronco Mendenhall has done for that program, fantastic. And the next step for that is consistency. Can you do this year in, year out, where you're representing the coastal side of the conference for every other year, a couple years in a row? That'll be the biggest test.
What did you remember the most from that night?
Probably that onside kick. I mean, that was a huge swing that UNC fans thought that it should have been theirs. Of course, we thought it was the correct play call, but other than that, just the back and forth. I mean, it's such an offensive game where really neither defense could stop the other, and it came down to the wire. Great game.
Eric, what have you seen from Virginia freshman defensive tackle Jelon Briggs, and then what's the challenge as an offensive line to defend that open front when you have blitzing linebackers and safeties?
Yeah, well, I think, being able to come in as a freshman, a guy that when I was looking at, really just kind of defensive freshman of the year and who could step up to be that, a guy that has to be around the top, because when you look at red shirt versus true, I think it's a lot more difficult. So when he's there, what he's able to do to take up 2 blockers at a time, he's a guy that demands, your attention and your presence. So I think from that aspect, what he's able to do has been impressive. That Virginia front as a whole, what they're able to do blitzing-wise, that's going to be a challenge. Clemson's going to have to identify it. You really flip the teams around, right? Because that's what Clemson does. They want to confuse you, show that they're bringing pressure in both A-gaps, and they drop a defensive lineman. So that's going to be a challenge for Clemson to really identify. Because if they can protect Trevor, they'll be fine. But if you start getting them on the ground, it's cold, it start hurting a little bit more, it could be an interesting game.
So just pass protection from a tight end or maybe Travis Etienne running back standpoint, is it magnified more in this game necessarily?
If they overload.